Hello everyone, this is Rob Zaleski with Marketing Profs. Welcome to today's seminar. Before we get started, I'd like to take a minute to thank Everstring for sponsoring today's broadcast. Everstring helps sales and marketing teams find their ideal customer. The Everstring Audience platform uses predictive algorithms and machine learning to leverage over 20,000 unique data signals from more than 27 million companies, enabling marketers to create and refine relevant audiences. If you're on Twitter, be sure to add hashtag sales and marketing alignment to your seminar related tweets during or after this broadcast. That's hashtag sales and marketing alignment. Okay, today's webcast is Couples Therapy, how to combat sales and marketing misalignment to maximize conversions. And our presenters are Gordon Jen and Letty Rodriguez. Gordon is the Manager of Enterprise Sales Development at Everstring. He has held roles in sales, sales development, and account management with a focus on cutting-edge techniques and strategy for product evangelization. Letty is the Marketing Programs Manager at Everstring, where she is responsible for the strategic planning and execution of marketing campaigns. Letty can also be found reading, making jokes only she finds funny, and eagerly anticipating the arrival of her first niece or nephew. Gordon and Letty, please take it away.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so like Rob said, we are from Everstring. My name is Leticia Rodriguez, the Marketing Programs Manager, and here's a fun little picture of myself. And then we also have Gordon here, who is our Enterprise Sales Development Manager. Cute little picture of Gordon there. And then below both of those are our LinkedIns, so where you can find us and you can connect with us later. Yeah, so I think it's really important to really understand why we even care about sales and marketing alignment, right? So, Gordon, why do you and I need to even get along in the first place? Why can't you live in your silo and why can't I live in mine?
Because I won't understand you. I won't understand your goals. I don't know what your role entails, and I don't know what you're focusing on.
Exactly. And I think overall, we need to be aligned because we are working toward the same goal. At the end of the day, Gordon and I, we're working to make sure that this business is running full steam ahead and it's as successful as it can be. So, overall, we just need to learn to play along nicely, right? So now that we know why we're here, there's four main areas that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how to spot the symptoms of misalignment, how to
hmm
structure the team for top of the funnel of success, tactics for aligning priorities around the right target audience, and then once you know all of that, how to increase the efficiencies of sales and marketing by putting time and money toward the most likely to convert prospects, because we're all just so busy at the end of the day. I think there are, first of all, four main points of, or four, I should say, main symptoms for misalignment that I've definitely seen, in previous companies, and I'm sure Gordon, you've seen it as well. So the first one is he said, she said.
Marketing isn't focusing on the right accounts. These are bad leads. Like, how many times am I going to hear this from my SDRs, right?
Exactly. And marketing on the other side is saying, well, you know what, sales is rarely following up on what we give them in a timely manner, and there is a parking lot of MQLs. That is definitely one of the things that keeps me up at night. The number two is, lack of trust.
Super broad term, but marketing does not know what they're doing. What are they doing? I have no idea.
Yeah, and it's marketing saying, you know what, sales is selling something that we don't even market. They're not listening to the message. The third symptoms is that the metrics just don't add up, right? So what are the actual numbers? I speak in leads and MQLs, and Gordon is speaking in opportunities and meetings. So we're often talking different numbers, and then that leads to misaligned expectation points. I think that Gordon and his team are doing A, he thinks my team is doing B. And then, like I just said, sales and marketing report on different numbers. And one of the, bigger issues here is that they're not openly sharing those numbers. They're not, I'm not getting the feedback from sales saying, hey, this is the number of meetings that we set from this campaign. And it's me not then sharing with sales, hey, these are the MQLs. How, what are you guys seeing? Are these generating opportunities? Are these moving into meetings?
hmm
And then definitely the very, very big one, which I think is the most stressful thing to happen really to, most sales and marketing teams is that the sales goal is not being met. And, I know we call it a sales goal, but it's really a revenue team goal. Because at the end of the day, we all want to hit this same number, and everything we do aligns toward that, end of quarter number. And when that number is not being met, there are a lot of questions coming from the top, and that leads to a lot of really just unnecessary, finger pointing and blame. And so, why does this happen? So I think this comes back to misaligned expectations and goals. There's bickering and finger pointing. I've definitely seen this at past companies. You have sales saying, like Gordon said, those leads and accounts are bad, and marketing saying you're not doing thing, with them anyway. Um, Sales complaining of bad leads, SLAs not being met, and then anecdotal references to failing programs. So, oftentimes it's not even a marketing problem, but it does get lumped into our department, and it's, sales, for example, saying there's not enough blame to go around, but there's still enough for marketing. And it definitely goes vice versa.
So what does this start with? How do we structure ourselves for top of funnel success? And at the end of the day, it all starts with the people. We're very stringent on hiring and making sure everyone works together with a one team, one goal mentality. And at the end of the day, like Letty mentioned, it's all about the revenue for the company, and it's really easy to lose sight of that. We're working towards the same goal to make the business successful. We're one true revenue team.
Exactly. And then it's also communication and transparency. And throughout this webinar, communication is something that you are going to hear so much about from Gordon and myself. You are going to be absolutely sick of the word, I think, by the end of this. Because Gordon and I, for example, we talk constantly. And I say Gordon and I because Gordon and I are, the ones on this webinar, but really it's sales and marketing. I am constantly with, our VP of sales. Gordon works with other members of my team, on a daily basis. But it's this constant talking back and forth. And I think for Gordon, sometimes I maybe talk a little too much. Sorry about that, Gordon.
That's okay, I
Um,
enjoy it.
but just kind of like a few examples, we have weekly syncs on our marketing outbound and nurture campaigns. And like I said, Gordon and I, we talk on a daily basis, but we really put at least one calendar on, or I'm sorry, one meeting on the calendar for week. This way, during those weeks when things are so incredibly busy, you have events going on, you have different email campaigns that need to launch. It's end of quarter, it's beginning of quarter, everyone's so busy. But this way we ensure that, hey, at the very, very minimum, we are meeting at least once a week. And Gordon and his team have weekly, sales meetings. And it's great to be able to walk in there, and Gordon has really created an open environment for marketing to go into these meetings and present on the campaigns that are happening so that it allows, myself and the rest of my team to let sales know what's happening, how the campaigns and the marketing programs that we run affect his team. And it
Mhm.
creates also an open environment for, Gordon's team to ask us questions. Would you feel that your team finds that very beneficial, Gordon?
Oh, absolutely. Oftentimes there's a lot of disconnect between, what sales development hears, what sales hears, and what, marketing is actually putting out. An open environment for, your team to actually attend our sales meetings really keeps me accountable because, I know you've come across some times when they've heard about something that you guys are doing that I have yet to hear about. So this really helps keeps me in check, and it's a pretty good like red flag to show me that, hey, I need to be doing a better job on my end to kind of reciprocate that information down to my team.
Yeah, and it also keeps me accountable to say, hey, maybe the way I'm presenting this is not as effective. How can I go back and recommunicate what we're doing so that everybody in the end gets what they need to help us all be successful? And this is just kind of a quick example of, one way that we are very open and communicate with not really just the sales team, but really the company as a whole. So I am kind of the main owner of our marketing calendar. I prefer to use Smart Sheets. It allows me to be very organized and just change things how I need it. So this is our, just a quick snapshot of our marketing calendar from April and May, which was right during Marketo Summit and SD Summit. Not sure if any of you guys were there for that. So it was definitely a wild time for us, but it allows us to publish to the sales team. It's updated in real time so that at any point in time, anyone on sales or really just in the company can look and see what event we're going to, where it is, who's attending, what the webinar is, either registration link if they'd like to join or share that out to their team and their prospects. And it just keeps everybody accountable as well. We are also very big on sharing our quarterly plans. No need to go into a very, very deep dive onto anything with our quarterly plans, but we give a very high level overview and we say, here are our goals and here's how we're going to achieve them. And it really establishes that trust so that Gordon and his team can see that we have an actionable plan in place and our goals help them achieve their goals in the end.
So as a side note, I absolutely love this calendar. They're color coded perfectly. And then if my team ever wonders like what webinar or what piece of outbound campaign is coming out from marketing, I can just point directly to the calendar instead of, talking to every single one of them about what's going on. So Letty, thank you so much for putting this together.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure.
So for the third point, it's collaboration. I love having Letty and the rest of the marketing team be included in our sales brainstorms. They're incredibly creative. They help us plan our field events as well as our different nurture campaigns that we set up for our target accounts. She's really great about getting our entire team kicked off on the campaigns that they're holding, as well as training us and getting us really familiar with the self-service tools that we have. Letty, you want to talk about Uberflip? It's one of our most liked ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So our content team they're just absolute rock stars and they put out such great content. And at the end of the day though, if we can't share that content and really push that out to not only our audience but our prospects and our customers as well, it's not as effective. So marketing on our side, we listen to the sales feedback where they say, hey, I have this customer, this prospects, and they want to learn more about how to build a budget for predictive. Where can I find this content piece? Uberflip is great because it allows our sales team to create very, very personalized content hubs for their prospects and for their customers. So it provides them access to content in a self-service fashion. And allows them to customize with the account name. So you can see this example here. It is CA Technologies. The sales rep is Greg George, and they can go in and say, how do I present predictive marketing, for example, to my leadership team? Do you have something on that? And Greg can say, as a matter of fact, I do. Let me just update your content hub. Here's the latest piece of collateral. And I've also included, the latest Forrester marketing report, which I think you will also find extremely beneficial. So it's great for marketing and sales outreach. It allows the sales team to be very, self-service and grab what they need, and allows the marketing team to just focus on creating that content and then listening to that sales feedback when they say, hey, we need a content asset that focuses, very, very particularly on, building budgets, for example, and instead of focusing on, pushing that out to our prospects ourselves, our sales team can do that.
And for me personally, our SDR team absolutely loves Uberflip. We tier our accounts both on, tier one, our best of the best, and we're able to combine all the great pieces of content that Letty and her team puts out on a weekly basis and, essentially create a hub where different buyer personas that we're actually engaging with can visit. From an outbound perspective, it reduces our chances of hitting spam just because we're not sending 3, 4, 5 different links to different pieces of content, but we're using one central hub where multiple people at a single company can look through a streamlined view of really, really relevant content that we put together.
Which is great. I love that kind of feedback.
So Letty, what do you think of data? Come on, what's your opinion of it?
I mean, numbers was never my thing growing up, but I do love being able to look at the data and seeing what's working and what's not working because like all of my other marketers and salespeople on this live session, I'm busy. I don't always have time to, just crank out things. So do, I want to focus on what's going to work and what's going to, help your team.
Yep, yep. As an SDR manager, this was the biggest struggle throughout my career. I would say, where's the data? Where's it coming from? Okay, how much time is this going to take to uncover? What are the best accounts should I put my SDRs in front of? And how do I prioritize everything? And I think, Letty and I can both agree that without accurate data, we're nowhere. No matter how much content, no matter how much great campaigns we're running, if we don't have the right data around the right accounts and leads, we're essentially, batch and blasting to an empty database.
Then it's a
So Lenny
guessing
and I,
game.
yeah, it's a guessing game. So Letty and I, we use EverString internally. This allows us to use a consolidated view of all of our accounts and contacts. So we're not just looking at, leads at a very, granular lead level per person, but we're actually looking at like which accounts should we go after and why. I think for our generation, the question of why is the most important. And with the right data insights there, we're able to pick and choose. And honestly, the one of the biggest benefits is it allows Letty and I, or both of our teams, to quickly align on which accounts to go after. So on this slide, here is a quick peek into one of our enterprise SDR's focus accounts. As you can see on the left, he has marked it which accounts are actually targeted. For the overall score, it combines both engagement, fit, and behavior score to give you a overall, high-level overview of what the account is and how it scores relative to your ideal customer. So this is a pretty common view. A lot of marketing and salespeople are familiar with. You have a lead score. It's extremely high. You look on the right-hand side. What's the overall company score? It's a 3. So for example, if we're going after, CMOs and directors of demand gen at, every company, these are great titles, but at the end of the day, this lead is coming in from, let's say, Washington State University as a CMO. We're bloody, we're probably not going to sell to that person, right?
Yeah.
So in all honesty, like it breaks down to, with data science and everything, it allows us to be more proactive rather than reactive. It allows us to uncover key insights and different data points that allows us to align ourselves around the best target accounts. This streamlines all the systems that we have in your CRM, marketing automation, and avoids, both Letty and our teams avoiding silos. So, Letty,
So
how do we align ourselves?
speaking of silos, Gordon, why can't I live in my world and you live in yours and we can never speak? I mean, other than the fact that I'm just completely obsessed with hanging out with you all day.
Oh man, I think we just gotta ask the right questions. I think at the end of the day, you have to write the experts.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think once you figure out your priorities and how you make them work together, you need to then align them so that you can actually work together. And it's super common for marketing and sales to live in their own separate worlds. And we need to break that down with the biggest hammer you can find. And I think the best way to do that is to just ask constant questions, which is just another way of saying communicate with each other, right? So it's starting from the very beginning of, for example, when we present for an event, we say, okay, why are we doing this? What are our goals? And then at the very end, we say, did we achieve these goals? What did we miss? And how do we improve upon not only what we missed, but just in the event as a whole for our next event? Because everything we do and everything I think, really every sales and marketing person wants to do is they want to get better with absolutely everything.
hmm So what event did we have last week, Letty?
So we had one of my favorite events, which was Dreamforce. Took over all of San Francisco, and it was, it was a great event. But I mean, I think we can definitely use that as an example for these 5 questions right here. So, I mean, Gordon, when we presented, we said, why are we doing this? And we told our sales team, we are attending Dreamforce because It is right, up the road for us. We are located in San Mateo, so it was just a quick 30-minute drive up, up the freeway. And our target accounts are there, our target prospects are there, our audience is there. Dreamforce, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Gordon, I believe is around 150,000 people registered or
Yeah,
attended this year.
that was just
Yeah,
on
so it
foot.
was
Like that's not counting all the people that logged in online.
Yeah, so it was huge. So obviously not everyone there is our sponsor because Dreamforce is really there's so many industries there, but it was a great way to meet with those, target accounts and prospects that, I know Gordon and his team, maybe they just weren't responding.
Yeah. So this was great time just to meet face to face with people. I would say nothing replaces just meeting someone face to face. You're able to ask the hard questions, and you're actually being able to understand like what your prospects are actually curious about. Oftentimes people are flooded like completely with their email, their in-mail, their voicemail, and this is just a great opportunity to better understand one another.
Exactly. So then, in our presentation, we also said, what are our goals? And that was, a conversation that, I had with myself and our VP of sales and our president. And then we went back and Gordon and I aligned on those goals as well, because that's super important to have that alignment between himself and myself before we present to his team. And we said, the goal is 150 meetings during the course of this week. And Gordon, did we achieve that? Did we achieve that goal?
Oh yeah, it was wild. It was a lot of fun though.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. So now we can say, yes, we achieved that goal. But what did we miss? Because there's always room for improvement.
I think we missed a few target accounts. I think we they got lost in the shuffle, and it happens sometimes. It could be as simple as someone using Outlook as opposed to Gmail, so they miss like the calendar invite. But mistakes
Mhm.
happen. But I think that's the biggest thing is, being able to kind of think about it on post-event level and see how do we improve. What kind of things could we have improved on, Letty?
Definitely on my end, I think we could have improved on having a meeting space that was open, longer throughout the day, and longer throughout the week is definitely one thing on my end that I want to improve upon for next year. And I've definitely made that mental note. And when we
Hmm.
have our big kind of post-event breakdown, that's something that I'm going to share because I think it would be really helpful for the sales team to have, a meeting. We did have a meeting space, but have it open longer. I think the meeting space we had was absolutely perfect, but it could definitely be improved.
It was what hours did we run? I think it was like 11:30 to 4. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely not as long as we would have liked.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the people that we wanted to meet with wanted to meet earlier in the morning, and we kind of missed that window. So we kind of had to do like a quick shuffle over to like I said 12 of the different Starbucks near the area, but it all worked out at the end.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest thing that you're gonna hear over and over. It's communication. Super corny, a little cheesy, but we typically will try to use we, our team instead of you, myself, I. Before and after, before, during, and after every single event. The key is to over communicate, right, Letty?
Over communicate. I might as well just move into your desk.
Might as well. Might as well. We can double up.
There you go.
Luckily, we
Um,
have a great visible dashboard. Allows us to track, the different meetings, different goals that we have. As we mentioned earlier, it's one team, one revenue goal. This allows us to focus on like the different weekly meetings, what's top of mind. I think that's the biggest part. It's, what is Letty most focused on for this week? What am I most focused on? That way, there's no chances of misalignment.
exactly. So, I mean, next it's team goals and honest feedback. So from revenue goals to attendees at a lunch and learn, every single program needs a goal. You always need to know why are you doing something, and I mean just from kind of your own understanding and a business understanding, you need to know why you're attending this event. But it's also letting the sales team know why you're attending. I think there can often be this misconception of oh, marketing just goes to events because they like to party and they like to throw parties and they like to have dinners. And don't get me wrong, I love a dinner as much as the next person. But there's always strategy behind every dinner that we do, and there's always a strategy behind every event that we attend because, it's a lot of resources on the marketing side and it's a lot of spend often, on the marketing side. So there's strategy behind it, but sales needs to understand that strategy and they need to understand that, hey, I need the sales team to, maybe call these attendees, not because I know, I am laboring under some idea that they have nothing else to do, because I know they're extremely busy as well, but because it's going to help them drive meetings, right? And I want to help them. That's one of my goals right now. We make goals as visible as possible. So, like Gordon said, we have dashboards that we share with everybody. For Dreamforce in particular, I think we had, what, 4 meetings, Gordon, I think, around Dreamforce alone, just reiterating goals.
Yeah, I mean we have 4 different chalkboards and like 2 TV screens just tracking our attainment of goal. It was so crazy.
Yeah, just constant talking. And then everyone deserves a role. I think that's also very important. It's, my role was to help the sales team, drive those meetings with the outbound communications. And, it was Gordon's role to align with, myself and help push his team to set those meetings and work with his team in any way that he needed to. And then, as crazy as last week was and as tired as I was yesterday, um, I think it feels really great to walk into the office this morning and think about last week and be like, wow, everyone did such a great job. What do you think, Gordon?
I am so relieved it's over. Seriously, like I'm so glad like we're lucky enough to have Columbus Day off. And just walking in here, the buzz is amazing, you know. I think everyone knows what they accomplished, and we're actually able to kind of look back and see, how can we improve? What did we do? What did we actually accomplish? And, luckily we were tracking a lot of data points, so, we're able to track trends and how do we improve for the next time around.
Yeah, it was definitely great to see the sales team. And there were a couple of times we had some of the sales guys, who would be at the booth, and lo and behold, that super super hot target account that they've been trying to contact for months, and the CMO happened to be there, and he walked up to the booth and was like, "Let's talk." And they set that meeting immediately, and there were just high fives and smiles all around, and that's such a great thing to see. So I think everyone walked in feeling super accomplished.
Hmm.
And then, lastly
Letting what?
is, rewarding the entire team for a job well done. Hey, I'm a
Thought we
Lakers
agreed
fan.
on
We're not
Warriors.
going to get into this conversation,
Okay.
Gordon.
All right. All right.
I snuck that slide in.
Okay.
I think rewarding for the entire team for a job well done is super important. So, we're gonna have to talk about brunch plans, Gordon, here in the near future. But everyone did such a great job, and rewarding them for in some small way of just being like, you guys crushed it. It was a long week, but super proud. That's super important. It feels good.
So, Letty,
And
how do
next
we
we can talk
increase
about,
the efficiencies?
yes, because doing all of these things is great and all, but I'm busy, you're busy, everything needs to be super efficient, super streamlined. I think it starts with prioritization. Like Gordon, kind of went over, we use predictive scoring. And then there's also that constant feedback loop between sales and marketing, which again is another way of saying communicate. You never
Yep.
stop communicating. It's also, the data driven, or spending, identifying the right accounts to market and prospect to, and spending more on the high fit accounts. Um, it's kind of one of those situations where you can look at at one lead's overall, engagement score, and it could look like the hottest lead in the world. They have their score is, 109, whatever it is. But their company behavior score is, kind of like an example that Gordon showed, is only a 3. They could attend all of your webinars, attend all of your field events, um, but they're actually not a fit. And maybe they actually just really like baseball games. I love baseball games. I love a free baseball game. So I get it. Um, but focusing on that, and using the data to help you decide where you should spend not only your time, but also your money and your resources.
Number three, systems that promote teamwork. And so sorry to Uberflip, I totally forgot to add that into the slide. But essentially, what these platforms do, with EverString, with Engageit, with SalesLoft, it's really allows us to run an account-based marketing, account-based sales type of framework. That way, Letty and I, both of our teams, we know which accounts to go after. It helps streamline all of our content into the right hubs. So thank you for these different companies, these different technologies that allow us to do our jobs much more efficiently.
It's also in the reporting area. You want to not, just report on the activity, but where that activity took place. And it's going to be different for every single company. We do find a lot of success, in our webinars, in trade shows, in our kind of smaller field events. So it's going to be different for everybody, but looking at, where that activity took place is super important because it will help you decide, what to cut and what to keep. You may find that certain trade shows are not as important for you. Then, don't spend the time and the energy and the resources there. And it will also help you look at where you should engage with these target accounts. It could be that you know, the hot target account that you're really trying to nail down is very, very much into webinars, and maybe they're not so much into the field events. They don't really have the time to, attend these dinners, but they do like learning and they like that thought leadership information that they're getting from you guys. Keep that going. Make a webinar and a program targeted around that company, and that's definitely one way to engage with your target accounts and increase that efficiency in reporting.
Bonus round, maintaining alignment. All is good if you can do it once or twice, but how do we actually keep the mojo going? One of the most important things is regular meetings. So this means calendared and not. Letty, how many times do we meet per week? Like, is it like 5 or 6 times?
Yeah, I mean, calendared, it's every Tuesday, so I'll meet you again later today.
Okay.
But then it's also just kind of ad hoc, like, hey, Gordon, this FYI, this program's coming up. It's still in the planning stages, but I want to put it on your radar now because it's going to affect your team in this way.
Yep. Next portion is stop the ego. Letty, do you have an ego?
I think everyone has a small one.
There you
I'm
go.
always
I do
super
too.
proud of the marketing programs that I run, but at the end of the day, my ego and my personal brand is not as important as the businesses.
Yep, definitely.
And
We
I,
also have to
I think we've
speak the
definitely
same language,
seen,
right?
yes, oh my gosh, not just English, Gordon, but
I know. So what's,
but also when it
like,
comes to MQLs and meetings and leads and opportunities, and I need to understand what an opportunity means for your team.
exactly, like what actually goes into an opportunity? Are we using Bant? Are we using Anim? What is a fit account? What's a tier one? What's a tier two? If you don't
Mhm.
know what these are, you're going to be completely flustered at, what I'm talking about every single time. Letty, you're incredibly good at this. Like, we invest in what works. We immediately cancel what doesn't. So if that's like, a separate campaign, this field marketing event, this restaurant, even this vendor, you and your team, that you guys do such an incredible job of, you know, understanding where we failed and how we can improve, and immediately addressing that right away.
Absolutely. And then cross-functional offsites. Last year for Dreamforce, everyone did, again, a great job, especially since it was our very, very first Dreamforce. And we did like a fun little Napa wine trip, and it was great to bring the team together and celebrate, achieving one huge goal as a team, sales and marketing. And it also allows us to kind of get to know each other outside of the office, and everyone has, their office side and their out of office side, and it's fun to just kind of sit down and talk and learn about the other person without talking about programs and MQLs and opportunities and business marketing and sales speak.
Yep, I think that's like super, super important is just really getting to know one another on a personal level. It's easy to kind of gloss over once you're kind of going through the day-to-day grind. But at the end of the day, everyone's a person, and you really ought to get to know one another. That way, you can kind of be very honest and transparent in your feedback, and no one really holds anything back. I know Letty and I don't.
Nope. So, I mean, we're almost at the end here, and I like to just provide something, for everyone that's listening in, just some fun tweetable takeaways, right? And to kind of join in on that conversation, we have an absolutely amazing social media marketer on our team. And, she's out there tweeting away about, really everything to do with sales and marketing alignment, predictive marketing, marketing, sales in general, you name it, she's out there. But here are just kind of, three quick tweetable takeaways. So, predictive marketing allows sales and marketing teams to leverage the same data and make proactive decisions. You got to cut what isn't working. Your priority is the business. Ultimately, we all got to remember that sometimes. And if it doesn't help the business, it has to go. And lastly, demolish those silos. Ask questions, collaborate, and align through consistent communication. Let's all work together in the end. And the presentation has finished. Any questions?
Thank you. It's awesome, Gordon and Letty, for all of this information. I really think we made some serious progress today in this couples counseling session. I really think we broke some new ground here. And also,
Yeah, I learned a little bit about myself.
And I have been to an Everstring dinner, and they are delightful. So shout out to your colleague, Stephanie, there.
Oh, that's great. We'll let her know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a burning question for our presenters, now is the time to go ahead and type that into the Q&A box on the left. We are going to go ahead and get started with some of the ones that have come in so far. This one I think is actually a really interesting question. And so what is the most effective ways for marketing to schedule meetings with the sales team when you have a conference coming up? Do you pre-qualify people? How do you work out those kind of logistics?
Yeah, so we'll do multiple meetings around most of our events, particularly our bigger events. So for us, that means Dreamforce, Marketo Summit, and Serious Decisions Summit. We will start off with one big kickoff meeting, and we actually do. We have a very pretty large sales organization, so I will do one meeting with Gordon. And I know this sounds like a lot, but I promise in the end it actually really helps. And definitely very much adjust it to your organization. But I will do, one meeting with Gordon, and that's where he and I align on what, I need from his team, what his team can definitely expect from myself and the rest of my team in terms of helping them drive, meetings and where they need to be and providing them with all that fun information. And then I, present that to Gordon because Gordon's team is the sales development team. They're very much on the front lines. And then, I go into Gordon's weekly sales meetings. And I say, hey guys, this is what we're doing. And it starts right there with, I think, those top 5 questions, right? So this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing this. This is what your goals are. This is how I'm going to help you achieve those goals. And since Gordon and I are already aligned, he is already on board. And, he kind of reiterates that and says, yep, team, this is what we're doing. What are your questions and concerns? And there are times that they come up with questions and concerns that, I hadn't even thought of. And it's great to get that feedback. So that's kind of our first, quick, maybe 30-minute meeting. And then we have a larger sales meeting, which also actually includes kind of some of our sales solutions consultants because they often attend our conferences with us. And that takes them through a longer slide deck, which goes into much more detail around what we're doing, where the event is, what the audience is, letting them know, hey, this is all of the outbound campaigns that we're running. This is what we're going to run on social. And it's one larger meeting as far as how to kind of get sales on board with that. That comes from the very top. And I think Gordon can agree with me on that. It's, we're very, very fortunate here to work with sales leadership who are very much in line with our marketing team, and they want us to succeed. And their kind of motto is, how can I help you? Which is so fantastic. And it's presenting all of that in one. And once I think the sales team sees that the sales leadership is on board, they're on board with everything as well.
hmm
I hope that kind of answered that question.
Now, do you guys do everything face to face, or do you also have some tools that you use for communication, like Slack or Skype or something like that?
Yeah, we
Yep.
use Slack as well for kind of the quicker things.
Cool. That was just another follow-up question that came in. So you guys do talk a bit about predictive scoring, and I think you actually that was even one of the takeaways. Can you kind of define that a little bit more? Like, what do you score specifically, and how do you avoid maybe a sales team accidentally overscoring a prospect because of maybe an established relationship?
Got it. So predictive scoring, essentially we build a statistical model based on your historical data, along with, third-party data that we actually partner with. What was the second portion of that question?
So, how do you like? What do you score specifically, and then how do you avoid maybe a team overscoring a prospect because they have an established relationship?
Got it. So how do we score efficiently and how do we avoid overscoring? Luckily it's all through machine learning, so there's not so much of overscoring. It takes both, intent data, fit, and engagement, all three of those scores to create an overall score. So oftentimes you see a lot of lead level scoring, which gives you a good idea of how the lead is interacting with your company, your website, your content. But with fit, it's I would say it's the most important because it looks like your ideal customer based on different data points. And this way you can get a full view of your account score. So not just how people are engaging with your content, but how well does that account fit with the accounts that you have previously sold to or you had, previous success with, both with a webinar or with a marketing campaign.
Very cool. Now, then you guys did talk a lot about collaboration, but we do have a question. So, what happens when you get pushback? If you have a hard time getting the sales team on board, how do you combat that?
I think I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had too much pushback. I know no one lives in perfect harmony, obviously. But when I have received pushback, it's really, taking that, taking, those concerns and looking and really kind of analyzing, okay, why is there concerns? Why is maybe, the sales team saying that this program plan isn't effective, isn't going to help them drive their numbers. um and it's looking at that information and then speaking with the sales leadership team as well, and just really understanding their concerns. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the hiccups come from, is people often they don't want to understand the concerns. And it's, as I'm very protective of my marketing programs, but I always have to kind of keep in mind that it's not an attack on, on the program, and understanding where they're coming from. They have their goals, and I know sales is always under a lot of pressure, particularly toward the end of the quarter. Um, it's understanding their goals and communicating effectively to them, why I think this is important, and answering all of their concerns, with either, data, by saying like, hey, actually, we have seen that the last time we ran this dinner in this city, we drove X amount of meetings, and showing them the data, um, showing them, why it's important, and ultimately how it's going to help them achieve their goals.
Love that. And that kind of goes back to the over communication as well, which is
Mhm.
something I don't think you guys can stress enough. We got time just for maybe squeeze a couple more in here. I do have this one question. I don't know the answer to it. I'm going to see if it jogs your memory. The person's asking if you can please remind us of the term you use instead of sales goals. Is it revenue something? Does it sound familiar to you
Revenue
guys?
goals. So
Oh, is it
one
just
team,
revenue
one
goals?
goal, and yep.
Excellent. Okay. So beyond prioritization, so what does this data help you do? Like we'll close it out with this. Like how do you how do you go beyond prioritization?
Yeah, I mean, with data and the insights, at least for my side, and Letty, you can kind of talk about this later. It allows, my SDR team to be more personal. And I think, at EverString, we're trying to
Absolutely.
redefine the R in SDR. Instead of rep, we want to be relevant. And I think both for marketers and sales professionals, we constantly strive to be more personal and be more relevant, just because no one, absolutely no one likes a batch and blast email. Marketers are very intelligent and they can sniff out a cold template in a second. So with the right data in place, this is also going hand in hand with like doing your research on LinkedIn, If you have tools like Inside View or whatnot, you're able to kind of, glean accounts and, and contacts for the best information. So when you are doing outbound, it allows you to be more personal. It shows that you did your research, can align and map, your value proposition to that specific buyer persona. So just, on top of prioritization, it just allows you to be more relevant in both, your outbound messaging as well as your top of funnel content coming from marketing.
Excellent. And I think that is a good way to close out because we are a little bit over time here. So thank you again, Gordon and Letty, for all this fantastic information. Ladies and gentlemen, if we did run out of time for your question, please feel free to reach out to Everstring directly. They'll be happy to continue the conversation with you. I hope you enjoyed today's seminar sponsored by Everstring. We also truly value your feedback, so please take a moment to fill out the very quick survey listed here in the slide. It's also in the seminar materials box at the bottom of your screen. Thank you again to everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you all again very soon. Have a great day.